Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Weekly. Kat was like, Brent, you got the, and then the music, you didn't like totally cut her off.
Sorry.
Hey,
Oh,
I'm
it's
okay
so
with that. At
hilarious.
least it started. Because usually we do like a little layout. We had that little image. I was like, are we going to do
I
the
know.
image or are we going to do?
I know. I forgot to put it up. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay.
We'll get it together.
We're
Oh.
started. It's raining everywhere across the nation. So at least we're here.
Yeah.
But I think we're starting with news this week. So we're just going to jump right in there. We got a good topic to talk about as well. But yeah, there's only, I think, one media news piece, and that was Stephen Yeun quits the MCU already. And it's like, oh, is it because it was leaked? Is it because he's like, oh, this is where the MCU's at, and I don't want to be a part of it? And he just won, like, I think, a Golden Globe yesterday. So it's just like very interesting move. Yeah, very interesting move.
Did you guys watch that show?
I missed the boat, and then I was like, oh, now it got nominated. Maybe I could like watch it now because I feel like no one was talking about it after.
So good. I watched it.
It's good. Yeah.
Before, like when it first came out or whatever it was, and I loved it. I thought it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
I've only heard
it was
good
really
things.
good.
I definitely want to watch it. And again, now I feel like it's like back in the ether. So I feel like now it won't be like, oh, beef, that was 10 years ago. It's being talked about again. So I might make that my next show for sure. But yeah, honestly, Thunderbolts for me is not a movie I'm very excited for. So it's very hard to even grasp what that movie is going to be. Cause it's just like, and do we need this? Like, I guess unless you've been really liking like that Captain America show, that's the only thing that I feel like it's been pretty connected to it.
I mean, that was a good show. I did enjoy that show, but yeah, I don't know. It's like the MCU overall has just kind of lost a little bit of luster. So it's like, yeah, I don't know I didn't know how to feel about that movie. And now, I was kind of excited for him being in it. And now that he's not, I'm like, oh, what does that mean? So hopefully it's just like a scheduling thing, but you never know. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, I guess when it comes to the MCU in general, it's like you don't know what to expect at this point. So it's hard to get excited for any movie until they have some kind of direction where they want to go with it at this point. Especially now that King is going to be out of the picture. It's just the only thing that I feel that you can get excited for would be Deadpool at this point. And from, where they go from there, hopefully they have a direction from that point forward to get people excited once again for it.
Yeah.
Because I surprisingly like the Marvels. I don't know if you guys have gotten to see it yet. And that didn't really get a press. And it was, I thought, actually a good movie. And they actually have things, not to spoil anything, but they have things that tease what's going to happen next in the Marvel universe. So it's kind of crazy that no one talked about that movie, and it just shows the lacklusterness. I mean, Aquaman, like I've been trying to get to the theaters to go see Aquaman forever, but every single time I go see it, either we got busy or like there's no motivation to go see it. Like no one seems to like this movie. So I'm like, oh man, do I want to see Aquaman?
Yeah. I want to see the Marvels. Aquaman, I'll wait till it streams. But
Marvels, I'll wait till it comes on Disney Plus and I'll watch it.
Exactly.
I'm sure it's coming soon. It was a little while ago, so I'm guessing in the next month or two that'll be on Disney Plus. Let's move on to some comic news. We got more. It's Jeff and Motion Comics coming to, I think, eventually come physically. I love It's Jeff. I think it's a really fun book, and we are going to talk about Marvel Meow, I promise. But mostly me saying it's not anything like It's Jeff. And I think, all right, I'll just say it now before we talk about that comic. But I think what's really fun about Jeff is that visually it's a really interesting comic, and the comedic beats really work with Kelly Thompson. And not everyone can write in that style. And that's something I really saw with that Meow book, where it's just like, I don't get what's going on. I don't think it's very funny. Maybe I'm just not a cat person, but I feel like there's a very particular writer and a very particular artist that can make that work. And it just somehow works with Jeff. So I like the book.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to like, newspaper strips, right? Like not all of them are winners, but you get the right character, right creator. I did read Marvel Meow. I thought it was fine. There were some, cute parts in there, but I'm also not a cat person, so maybe that, biased me a little bit. But yeah, it wasn't quite. It did feel like it was like, oh, Jeff was a winner. Let's do that with other characters. That's what it felt like. So.
I mean, I didn't read Meow, so I don't have
you
really
don't have to
input. But
yeah.
The thing is, I think with Jeff, I think he's a unique character, and I feel that I don't know if she was trying to duplicate something like that in Meow or whatever it was, but
it was a different creator too. It wasn't
Kelly was
Johnson.
it? Oh, okay. So
but wasn't Jeff in there a little bit too?
Like a scene. I think like a scene. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it
Like
was a different writer, but I mean, I don't like when it's like he's that unique character, so just we don't need any more of him. You know what I'm saying? We don't need other versions of it or whatever. I think he was good, and Kelly Thompson writes him. I think that is kind of like a vision that she's always had for that character. So, we'll see. You can only do so much though with it before it does start to get old though at the same time.
Sure. No, I think if you take it as like a little digital comic you can read, then it's fun, and I think it gives its purpose. But I agree. I don't think it needs any spin-off or more animal books. I think since the Pet Avengers, Marvel's been trying to do something similar, and they've never really cracked the case. All right, moving on to let's do the new summer event coming out with Kane versus Ben Reilly. And you know what? I think if you told me this 5 years ago, I've been like, yeah, I'm so excited. But I've been burned with these type of events, especially Ben Reilly. I've not liked where he's gone since Dan Slott brought him back. And look, I'll pick up the first issue, most likely. But do I think I'm going to love it? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to love it, but it's just Ben Reilly, and I always give it a shot. I can't help it. I love the character. I don't love what they've done with him over the years, but I don't know. This is obviously, being a little nostalgic. Ben Reilly and Kane goes back, decades. But yeah, I'm not excited for it, but I'm definitely going to pick it up at least. So.
Well, we haven't seen Kane in a long time.
Oh, yeah, it's been a long time.
It's like since that Scarlet Spider series that was done. And that has been, God, I want to say that's at least a decade at this point. I mean, it was a long time.
Yeah, it was when we first started doing this show, I think, was when they were putting that out. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm not excited for the Ben Reilly portion, but I am excited for the other side of things, there. So, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll fix Ben Reilly. I don't know, but
we can only hope. But it does seem like the script is flipped on those two, where used to be Ben Reilly was the hero, and now it's the other way around. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
We do have a question here. The Bronze Page Comics says, "Hey to us, will you watch the Echo show?" I don't know. I have a feeling you guys have been caught up with all the Marvelous shows, right?
I not all of them, not as of late. Like I wasn't really into Loki, and I haven't watched What If yet, the next season. But Echo looks, to me, the trailers and everything I've seen looks really good. It looks a little more edgier. It's not so, like campy or anything like that. It looks like it's a very interesting show.
It's hard for me because, again, MCU stuff is a Lisa and me thing. We always watch that stuff together. And so I fell way behind on stuff. So there's like several shows we haven't finished. We had never even started Loki season 2. But eventually, I'll watch it because I watch all the Marvel stuff. I can't help myself. But it looks good so far. But and
it came
the
out
fact that
today.
they're taking her. Oh, did it?
Yeah.
So
that might be why people might not watch it today, because
gotcha. I might not. Yeah, I'm not going to watch it on time then. That's for sure.
And I think they dropped like all 5 episodes at once, which is not normally their thing. Yeah.
No. They were afraid.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sure they're like, oh, we need to get some buzz. All right. Next up is that Daniel Warren Johnson is bringing his Space Mullet webcomic to Image, which I think that's cool. Obviously, like just seeing the webcomic format go to mainstream with obviously such a mainstream creator now. Maybe I'll even pick it up. Who knows?
I'll pick it up, but just because it's him, and it's his own book. So like, why not? I never read the webcomic, so I might as well pick up the physical copy.
It's so weird. I'll try an issue, right? Because it's him, and I've loved, the past couple of books, but I haven't loved everything he's done. I hated the Beta Ray Bill thing. It just wasn't for me. So and like the concept of this is so out there, but at the same time, that's when he does well, and that's probably what put him on the map. So I'll try it.
That's funny because I like the Beta Ray Bill story.
Yeah, I know you did.
Oh, it was really unique and different, and I like that Murder Falcon story that he originally did.
Yeah,
I like it
was
was his first real story. And so, it's cool to see something that he did in the past come out in physical form. So
yeah,
we also have another TV question. The name changes. I'm watching The Wheel of Time right now. Anybody else? I saw the pilot for my other podcast, the Legendary Ladies. We watch pilots sometimes, and it's not for me. It's very high fantasy. It's probably for Brad.
Oh yeah.
But it's not for me.
If anybody was going to watch it, it'd be me. I have not got it. It's another one that Lisa wanted to try with me to see if she likes it.
When is that on? Netflix or is it on
Prime? I think
Prime. Yeah,
I think it's Prime. Yeah,
gotcha.
So yeah, just haven't gotten there yet. I'll try it though.
The most recent thing that I watched was Invincible. I'm caught up on Invincible as of right now.
I'm not caught up. I'm behind. I watched a couple episodes.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I watched episode 3 and 4 of the second season, and episode 4 was really good.
Nice. Yeah,
I'm excited to catch up at some point. I think I watched half of the Adam Eve episode, and I did something else and then never got back to it.
The latest thing I've watched is Monarch: Legacy of Monsters on Apple. That's a good show.
I feel like I've heard who's in it.
It's Kurt Russell is in it, and some other actors that I'm not familiar with, and Kiersey Clemens. I don't know what else she's been in, but I've seen her before. Anyway, it's the Godzilla stuff. So, and it's like it takes place prior to the current movies, and it ties into all that really well. It's really well done. So.
I will have to see Apple TV. They don't release a lot, so
I don't even have Apple TV. There's enough shit out there already, man.
I have it for Ted Lasso, and we watch the morning show. So
yeah, I watch the morning show as well. Yeah, it's good. And For All Mankind, I watch a lot of stuff on there. Kurt Russell's son is also in it, and he plays a younger version of Kurt Russell's character, so that's kind of cool.
Mike Knight has also asked about Rebel Moon. I have not seen it. I don't really think I have plans on seeing it. I'm not a huge Zack Snyder fan. The only movie I've really liked from him was Watchmen, surprisingly enough, but everything else has not really done it for me. So
and what is that one on?
Skip. That's Netflix.
Okay. Yeah. I heard about
it's part
Rebel
1.
Moon.
Yeah,
I know.
It's part 1.
Part
There's
1.
Part 2 coming. Yeah. I actually did watch it the day before yesterday. I know a lot of people
prepared it for this show.
I liked it, but I like Sucker Punch. I like Watchmen. I like some of his stuff. But it does, like a lot of the complaints is it's not original. It feels like an homage movie to Star Wars type movies. It's like his version of those kind of movies. That's what it feels like to me. But I enjoyed it for what it was.
Also have She-Hulk.
Frank, real quick, I just would say he said Rebel Moon is really bad. Skip it.
It didn't seem up my alley. The other question was She-Hulk. I think you guys seen. I haven't even seen. I think I've seen a clip of She-Hulk. I have not.
I never finished it, but so I did watch several episodes. It's good. You just have to be in the mood for it.
She-Hulk show? I never even knew there was.
The one with the bad CGI.
Yes, you did.
Which one? Oh, you're talking about Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
Yeah, I watched 2 episodes and I stopped.
Yeah,
I might have watched like 4 or 3 or something. I don't know. Not that many.
I forgot it existed. That's why I stopped watching it.
That's how forgettable that one is. So.
She was annoying. I think that's what the problem was with me. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't. I don't know.
It's more of a comedy show, and I just had to be in the mood for it.
Right.
So.
You'll never be in the mood to go back to She-Hulk. All right, next up is Greg Capullo's drawing interiors with Wolverine. I mean, that's huge. We don't know what project, though. We just know that he's working on something that Wolverine is in.
Actually, the page that they shared, if you zoom in on it, it does say Wolverine in the title.
Oh, so it looks like it'll be a Wolverine book.
Yeah, and it said issue 1, so it's presumably when they do all this relaunch stuff in July.
Yeah, when they relaunch Wolverine because of the new X-Men stuff. So
yeah,
I'm telling you, that Wolverine will sell even better. I mean, it's been selling no matter what, but if you got Capullo drawing it, it's going to be a really good looking book.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited about that, actually.
We have 2 questions here. Infamous Mike Manhattan said, anyone seen Poor Things? I wanted to go see it, but again, time has gone the best of us, so I don't know if I'll see it until streaming. But that one I definitely want to watch in streaming because I watch a lot of like the Oscar movies, and that got a lot of Golden Globes, so I'm sure it'll be nominated for something. So I'll most likely watch it. So
Lisa
Brian,
actually wants to see that.
Really?
Yeah. She's a big fan of Mark Ruffalo. She loves Mark Ruffalo. So
I don't think I'm gonna like the movie because it looks not like my thing, but I want to give it a shot.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know if this
question there.
Yeah, I was gonna put it up. I don't know if this is true, but have you guys talked about Marvel trying to lure Jim Lee away from DC to write X-Men? I think I saw a bleeding cool article about it. So take that as you will.
I have not seen that.
But that seems almost impossible to me. He's like the president of DC Comics. There's not more of an exclusive deal you can have.
I don't know what he does though at DC Comics. He just is there. Like I don't ever hear of him doing anything.
I can see them trying to get him to do a cover. I don't know about writing it. That's a little odd.
Could you imagine
he's really embedded in DC. Yeah, oh man, that would be huge. I don't know. I mean, he's not really known for his writing.
No. But maybe his involvement. Or maybe if he even came back and drew.
Yeah.
I mean, he would never do that. Not again, though.
No,
I don't think he would.
What's the point?
Think so.
Why does it matter? You know, like he's done it. You're not going to be better at what you did back then. So what's the point?
Exactly.
Like I said, I could see a really special variant cover, by him would be really cool,
But at this point, what would even be special to do, right? Because everything's special in comics. Everything's like, here's this anniversary, here's that. If you were talking about like a TV show, right? Like it was 20 years. You're like, wow, that's 20 years of Friends, let's say. It's like, that's a big deal because you don't really celebrate that often. But comics, everything's celebrated.
True. Yeah. Just, for Jim Lee fans and collectors, basically.
Right.
But yeah.
Did you guys know The Killer was based? Did you guys know that the movie The Killer and the animated movie Nimona were based on comics? I did. I saw both. I really liked The Killer. I don't think Brent did. Right? You watched it. You didn't like it.
I did watch The Killer. I was a little bored by it. But yes, I did.
Love The Killer. Nimona was good. It's not. I think it's good. It's not like my favorite movie ever, but it's a fun little. I won't say kid movie, but it feels like very Disney-esque. All right, let's get into the next thing here, which is Ultimate gets a book. So this is the next Ultimate title. I've never cared about the Ultimates. I don't know if I care about this one. I never cared about the Avengers team of the Ultimate Universe, which I know is it considered the Avengers team? I always consider it the Avengers book.
Yeah.
I looking at it and it looks like it's a continuation based off of like what we read in this relaunch, because when you look at the team, I think it was Dr. Doom, Iron Lad, and was it Thor? Thor was in there, I think it was. I remember reading the roster and it was the exact roster that we got when Hickman did that launch. So
and I did not like that book.
Continuing their story. I don't think Hickman's writing it though. It's somebody else writing it. So
I'll probably try out the first issue no matter what. I'm trying out all of them. So
it's somebody named Dennis Camp. I'm not familiar with him, but
my guess is that he's probably like a TV writer or something. They usually do that.
Right. I think that's what it is. He's from somewhere else, but I'm not excited about it. Like I never got into the previous Ultimates series either. But yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to try it out, but that team doesn't get me excited either. So I don't know. Hopefully the writing does.
Yeah, no, this is actually a pretty big one. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book is licensed and renewed at IDW, which honestly, that's gonna save IDW. If they didn't have that, they would have closed their doors.
They lost that. They were done. Yeah, there's no saving it after that. That's their like their huge franchise, and they've
Keeps
done
them
really well
afloat.
with it. Yeah, it definitely does. But they've done really well with it, I thought.
I mean, they have the Last Ronin Revolution series getting ready to come out. So all those younger turtles now are older, and now they're fighting along with Casey Jones, the new version, and I don't know, it might be pretty cool. It's just gotta come out on time, man. Hopefully they have it already done and they can release it, and hopefully people are still into it also.
Yeah,
hopefully they learn their lesson.
Yeah, I didn't love the follow up to Last Ronin, that other series they did.
Yeah, I agree. I think I read 2 issues of it and I was like, it's not really that great, but maybe this one will be better. Yeah,
hopefully.
We also have I think we had a question. I was like, here it is. This from Tevia. How do you think the new Ultimate Marvel Universe will succeed over the old one? I don't think it will. I don't think there's a possibility. That was just such a such a time capsule, right? And they're just redoing it. I don't think they're gonna reach those heights.
I think the way you got to look at it is sometimes we have to stop comparing everything to the old.
Yeah, that's
and
exactly
just
what I was going to say.
As a new thing, because we do too. We get caught up in everything. Oh, well, we need it to be like this and we need it to be like that. But we also complain that we need things that are new, fresh, and different. So let's have an Ultimate Universe come back and let them do something different. Let's not compare to it. Let's just enjoy what's coming out.
No, I agree. I don't want to see the same thing over again. They ended for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also don't think it's fair to compare them because the Ultimate Universe, like you said, Kat, was just this time capsule moment that was just, it hit at the right time with the right audience, and it was done really well. And anytime you go back to something, you can't expect it to be as good as the original,
right?
Or the same as the original. It's just got to be its own thing. So
there's not a lot of readers out there that may have never read the Ultimate Universe before, and this is their first exposure to it. Period.
Yeah.
The best remakes or redos or something that it doesn't do the same thing. I think a good example was the Scott Pilgrim show. They took what people liked about that comic, and they're like, actually, we're going to do something completely different and change the premise of what that original book was about. And but still keep the heart of what people liked about Scott Pilgrim. So I think that's the best way to go. I mean, I hope you keep the heart of the Ultimate Universe and keep doing things that the regular universe can't. But yeah, don't tell the same stories. That's boring. That's why Miles Morales was so popular, because it's something different and new. And let's move on to the last thing, which brings us.
Cat froze, right? It's not me. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're still moving. Like, all right. The last thing. So exciting.
I think we froze because we were like, oh shit, no, Cat.
Right. It's usually me, so I'm just like, oh wait. But
her internet probably cut out, and they got bad weather over there, kind of like what we have today too. So
yeah, we had it the other day. It was pretty bad.
So I guess she was going into Gail Simone writes X-Men.
Yes.
First story in the Free Comic Book Day. What do you have about thoughts on Gail Simone writing X-Men again?
That's really exciting to me. I mean, it's been a while since she's written anything major that I recall. I don't even remember what the last thing was, but man, now our format looks all funky, but we'll leave it. It's I love Gail Simone, and I'm ready for somebody different to take over that franchise, and somebody with her clout and her experience. could bring something really cool to the X-Men. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what was the artist on the book too? David Marquez.
Oh, I love David Marquez.
Yes, David Marquez is doing the artwork on that. So I think that's going to be really cool. I think it's a pretty cool combination. It'll be interesting to see like what characters are in that book also. And, you know, she has written some great stuff in the past, right? I mean, like you said, she hasn't done anything like, I would say, super fantastic as of late, but this is her chance to come back and just really make a statement here. And it seems like they're trying to do X-Men better. I wouldn't say, 100% right, but they're trying something a little bit different.
Yeah. I mean, after all that, I think they need to. I think it needs to go back to the basics, and that'll bring us into our topic when Kat gets back and stuff. But I could see, she handles multiple character rosters really well. Gail does. I mean, if you go back to the Birds of Prey and all that stuff, she does a really good job of balancing between characters. So a team book is like perfect for her. So
she did Secret Six too, right?
Yeah, I love Secret Six. That was one of my favorite books at the time. Yeah.
People are asking, have you seen Echo yet? So we were like, we brought it up just a little bit earlier. I mentioned to the group that Echo came out actually today. So, and I think they dropped all 5 episodes today. So, and some people seem like it's okay. And if you guys, no spoilers, but if you liked it, just comment in the section below there. Trying to give Kat a second to come back here, see if she gets her internet back. So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah. So some questions. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. See if you find some questions in there.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. What were you going to say?
Oh, I forgot. I lost my train of thought.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Nothing. I think there's just a lot of comments though.
Yeah. Tevi asked about going back, what we think about going back to Kingdom Come in Batman Superman World's Finest, I assume. I mean, I think we all kind of dropped off with that, or not dropped off, but lost interest during that.
I'm still reading it.
Yeah, so far I am. I think the last issue came out a week we didn't have the show, and I didn't read it because of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it got a little bit more. I think it got more interesting because it's like the boy Thunder, Man Thunder, whatever they want to call him now. He was being transformed to Magog, I guess, and we wound up seeing like the Kingdom Come Superman and Kingdom Come Batman come together with Main Earth Batman and Superman. And they're working together to realize what's going on is not a good thing. And so it looks like they're going to try to work together going forward.
Okay, yeah. So I definitely didn't read that one. I read the one right before it.
I am back, but using a hotspot because my internet's out.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Well, are you guys? Okay. What's the topic right now?
We're stalling.
We did. Yeah, we did talk about the Gail Simone thing, but we stalled after that. So
but so we could talk about. I don't know where you're at with the topic that you were talking about.
We did talk about Gail Simone, so you got cut out, right? So what were your thoughts on Gail Simone writing this X-Men book?
I mean, I think that's a good direction. I think it's someone who people really like, and she hasn't been in comics in a little while. She hasn't done something from Marvel for a little while. So I think this is a good person to have. I'm interested to see. But, we'll talk about the newest X-Men book that came out a little later. But I also don't really know what the direction's going to be for X-Men. So
yeah,
I'm hoping.
I guess.
Like to see that. Yeah. Oh, which one's this?
Sorry. After you finish, Kat. I wasn't trying.
No, I'm wrapped up. So you're good.
Okay. So they were saying, Mike, did you notice Carlo Barberi was taking over Gunslinger?
Yeah, I did know that. I think he's a fine artist for the book.
That's that art right there.
Yeah, his art is great. I have nothing wrong with it. I do agree that Dexter Soy's artwork, though, has been amazing on Gunslinger. But I can tell you that no matter who is drawing Gunslinger, McFarlane just knows the type of artist that he wants to draw these books. So they always deliver. And I'm excited. Like I said, Brett Booth is taking over the main Spawn book, and then they're kind of flipping around some stuff. But it's all good, man. I'm still going to read Gunslinger. I love that freaking book. One of my favorite books and cheapest books, too.
And believe it or not, I think that's all the news that we could still talk about the bigger topic, which is our X-Men Dream Team and where the X-Men's going. But I do want to promote a few things, and we'll go into the bigger topic. But also, I have a Kickstarter going on, so I wanted to show you guys that. Here's our Kickstarter. You guys like superhero books? This is the full origin story of Like Father, Like Daughter. It's about a high school girl. Father left her, become a full-time superhero. Everyone in the world loves her, loves him except for her, and then she inherits his abilities. It's a fun series with a lot of twists and turns. There's some maybe evil spies in this as well, and it's fun. It was my first comic book series, and it's cool to see it all collected. Brant has some lettering in there as well, and yeah, this is a great way to collect it, so go check it out. The other thing I want to mention is that this Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, I'll be interviewing the creative team of Kill Your Darlings, tell you what's coming up from the series. They contacted me and said, hey, we'd love to be on Comic Uno. I was like, hell yeah, I'd love for you guys to be on Comic Uno too. So now we're going to be doing a show and talking about the series. So I'm very excited about that. So have a link for that if you guys want to join. I think I shared the link for the Kickstarter. Wait, so is this volume 2? Yes, it's volume 2. So volume 1's already been out. This is collecting issues 5 through 8. So again, it's the full origin story that it's collecting. And that is it for my stuff. And Brent doesn't have anything live right now, but
not to announce yet.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna go in next week. Well, then Brant will have something, but I think we'll go into then our main topic, which is the Dream Team of X-Men. And I would say the Dream Team is kind of going back to the idea of what X-Men Blue and Gold tried doing, where there wasn't 10,000 teams and there was like maybe 2 or 3. That felt pretty nice.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. So.
Tevia also asks about Like Father, Like Daughter. Is issue 5 and 8 the finale of your series? It's the finale of her origin. It is not the finale of the series, but you can get a full story with this. If you end here, you'll get a full story, but there will be more from the character.
I actually put together a team.
Oh wow! I did not. I was not prepared.
I did not have time to prepare for that.
That was my thing. So if the Krakoan age is over and we go forward into X-Men time, and there was a new book being released, I didn't come up with a title for this book, but these would be the characters that I would have in them. So
all right.
The leader of the team would be Jean Grey. Okay. No Cyclops in this team, but we would have Wolverine. So you got Wolverine and Jean Grey together. Okay. So I bet Wolverine would be a happy person. Along with that would be Kitty Pryde, because of the connection that Kitty had was with Wolverine. And with Kitty Pryde, you also have to have Colossus. So I put Colossus back in there as well. Maybe they could spark a, type of relationship thing again. And then I also put Nightcrawler and Mystique based off of the events that happened in the Uncanny Spider-Man series. So you get to see them work together. And then finally, there's 2 more characters. One, Dazzler, being that she's like the trendy character right now, saying that she's all, Taylor Swift and everything else like that. So I was like, okay, let's put Taylor Swift in there. And she's going to start dating Beast, because at one point they did date with Beauty and the Beast. and it's going to be like the Travis Kelce thing like that. And so
it's actually Taylor Swift in the comic too.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah.
So this is what
Taylor
it would
Swift
be
in the
like.
part of Dazzler. Yeah.
So, but everybody's got some kind of connection on this roster that can create some kind of drama, or how they would work together would be quite interesting. So that was the team that I came up with. I didn't even bother doing powers or stuff like that. It was more like relationships for me, because I like to see the characters grow and build with each other, and that's what's important. So yeah, I think that would be cool.
And I think we could all agree the best X-Men titles were ones that were all the teammates were based on relationships. Astonishing X-Men, obviously Claremont's X-Men, those are all were character based. And yeah, look, I would have a Kitty, I would have Dazzler, I would pick Emma. I don't really love Colossus. I think he's a little boring. Wolverine,
I would definitely, I definitely have Emma and Kitty on the team. Man, I don't know. That's hard.
I would want to see Magic do something interesting, because every single time she's on the team, you're like, she looks so cool, and then does nothing.
Right.
I know.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. I kept thinking of women characters, and it's like, well, we got to have some dudes in there. It's just going to be
Wolverine.
It'll be like, the all female. But yeah, I would put Laura though. So I was like, oh yeah, Laura and Magic and Kitty and
Emma. See, that's what I
Storm, man.
That's what I thought of at first. I'm like, no, I can't be just the male that wants all the hot X-Men chicks in the
Firestar shows up.
Yeah, right. Like I even thought of Firestar and everybody else, and I'm like, no, I got to put some actual real thought in this, and I said I'm gonna do it. So you split it up with 8 characters. There's 4 women, there's 4 males, and they all have some type of relationship with each other in there. So that's just the way I looked at it.
Okay. They do. But yeah, no, Nightcrawler I thought was really interesting, because I was like, he actually is someone that's been doing stuff, and is like one of the only threads of X-Men I've been enjoying. I was trying to think of other male characters, because like Beast, he tends to be boring. Cyclops tends to be boring. So like, what male characters on the X-Men are interesting besides Wolverine?
Right. And it's like Havoc is just following Madeline Pryor around now. And so he's not really an option. Iceman's kind of doing his own thing.
Right.
Man, it's hard. Like Archangel, we don't really see much.
No. Just put Deadpool in.
It's hard to put some like
just for Deadpool
in there. Yeah.
I guess you would have to put Logan in just to have somebody like that.
Because at least he's a Gambit. Someone said, I don't like Gambit. I don't know. There's something about him. I don't even like Rogue that much.
I like Rogue, but yeah, I don't know. In recent years, they haven't.
Brad, maybe you put Psylocke in there.
I would definitely put Psylocke in. I put Psylocke in everything.
At least she looks cool.
She does look cool.
Maybe so Kat would put maybe Laura in there.
I would, but I do agree with Brent. You need to have some men, and if there is a man, I think the only one I could really want and care about would
be Logan, right?
Yeah, so I'm like, I mean, you can still have Laura there, but it's a little
I would love to see Nightcrawler and Mystique on an X-Men team with like Destiny in the background, just kind of there, right? When they need her, she leaps into action, does something, but man, it's hard to think about like ones, dudes that haven't been like either misused, not used, or just like disappeared or are boring. It's really hard to think of.
I mean, I
mentioned Jimmy Hudson, but again, another Wolverine character. It's just like the Wolverine team.
Yeah, that's why I picked Beast, because of the a possible dating relationship with those two. But I was also thinking about, okay, well, we don't have we need a smart person, and Beast is is a smart person. Not that he's very interesting, but maybe somebody can do something with him, and that's just why I put him. He's not my favorite X-Men guy by any stretch of the imagination. Well,
Franklin would be interesting. Franklin Richards. Oh, he's a mutant.
Franklin, or a Prodigy.
Yeah, those would be interesting.
Yeah.
Molly Hayes just joined somehow.
Yeah.
Another woman.
Molly Hayes and Gabby. Put Molly and Gabby in there. Do like a junior team with them. I don't know.
I feel like the junior X-Men would work out somehow. They've never done that. Have they ever done like an X-Men Academy? I mean, obviously it's the Professor Xavier school, but
yeah, they did do was it called
X-Men
Academy or Mutant Academy or something like they have done that, like Hellfire.
I mean, New Mutants was, I guess, considered that too.
Yeah, but they did a school thing before with the there was like the Hellfires, and then they had them like in houses basically. Because I remember Emma was like the Hellfire mentor and stuff, and they've done Gen X, and that was kind of that way too. So they've kind of done it, but not as like an official team that goes out and does stuff. But
this was not a popular comment that you said.
I stand by it, man. I get it. I get that. I'm sure Gambit's got a lot of love, but it's just he's never been my guy. And I maybe because I was never a huge fan of the 90s X-Men cartoon. I kind of was past my prime. I like the X-Men Evolution more.
Right.
So it's just like I think people really like Gambit, like that show too.
Yes. He was really good in the show. Yeah. It's he's iconic with that show, but
supposedly Franklin's not a mutant anymore, but just give it back. Give him the X-Gene again.
Yeah, exactly. It's comics. He can be a mutant again.
Yeah, exactly. He'll come back. He'll definitely.
Oh, Miss Marvel. We forgot about her.
Oh, I definitely want her on my X-Men team.
Definitely. No, I would like her to be doing her own thing, forgetting that she's an X-Men. I want them to treat her mutant ability like they treated her as an Inhuman. Did nothing with it.
It doesn't matter.
She's not going to be on my main X-Men book. She can be on like the 3rd or 4th tier X-Men book if she wants to be.
And if it is, she shouldn't have any other mutants on that team. It's just like her.
It's just her.
It's just to say the mutant.
Yes,
it's Marvel.
There you go.
I accept that.
Solo book.
It's like Namor. It's in there, but we don't really address it.
Yes,
exactly. Yeah.
I should have said Namor just for Cat. I should put him on my team.
Should be like, let's decapitate him again. If you all don't know, like way back when Namor got decapitated, like Cat had a celebration.
I did. I was so happy.
Oh my god!
There's something about Namor that's just always. Longshot's actually a really good one.
Prick, but
exactly. I don't like Namor, and the whole Sue situation too much. Longshot's a really good one because he actually does. I think he had a relationship with Dazzler too. He had a relationship with Kitty and Dazzler. So that's Longshot's cool. Yeah. Professor Xavier, but like on the field.
Yeah. See, I don't want like. I was like, I don't want Cyclops and Jean together. It's just, I was like, yeah, Cyclops is considered guilty. Maybe he just like dies and gets killed off or something for a little while, so we don't see him, or he gets thrown in jail. And I was like, Professor Xavier, he's just screwed up everything. So it's just like at this point, let's just kick him off. He doesn't need to be leader. That's why I put Jean as the leader. I think she would be a fine leader.
Yeah. I think, Jean, we've seen Storm as the leader before. So I don't think we've seen Jean as the leader. So that would be cool.
She's definitely strong enough. She has the mental capacity to do it, so why not? And Wolverine would be there with her in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So, somebody throw us some strong male contenders to put on these teams. I'm struggling outside of Nightcrawler and Wolverine. Yeah, besides Longshot, obviously.
But those are I guess the question also now too, because you could take dream team of characters, but who's your dream writer for X-Men right now?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't have one.
Me either, honestly.
Jed McKay.
Jed McKay just writes everything. I like this idea of Gail Simone. I think that's interesting to me. Like that's someone we haven't seen in a while. Again, we know she has the chops. I'm interested. Donnie Cates can't write everything either, though. I think he'd be cool though. He'd be a cool writer for it.
It would be a good pick
if he was for that.
If he comes back. It would be nice to see.
Tara Warren Johnson.
Yeah,
Daniel
well,
Warren Johnson.
people are gonna hate this, but I would actually be curious to see what Dan Slott would do with the X-Men.
Oh my God, I knew you were going to say that.
Though? I mean,
No.
that's something he hasn't done yet.
I want to see that for
no,
like 5
no.
issues, not for
He
like
just-
an ongoing.
No,
does-
yeah.
He does tend to overwrite stuff at times. Remember Fantastic Four? Like,
Yeah.
there was so much dialogue in there. And then just like with Iron Man, and it was just, oh no. I just think he's Spider-Man. I just really do.
I would just like to see.
I like
his
just
take
Fantastic
on it.
Four.
Like
just a taste.
Yeah, just a taste. Just just a little bit. An arc. Put him on an arc, not an ongoing. Don't.
I agree with that. I want to see like a mini series from Dan Slott.
That's pretty tough though. Like, we're trying to think of people to write a comic that for X-Men, and we can't figure it out.
Because there's no superstar, and when there is a superstar, they run them dry. So it's hard. It's very hard to kind of see.
Especially ones that would actually write at Marvel right now, because so many people are doing so many different things outside of that, and you can't pick DC people. It's hard. And
then honestly, I care more about the pitch more than any. Oh, this is actually really good. Philip Kennedy Johnson. He's doing great on Hulk. I'd actually really want to see that. Tevye mentioned Cable, and I don't know how I forgot that. I love Cable, so Cable would be super interesting.
I thought about Cable. I didn't know where he would fit with the rest of them. But,
just gotta get Hope and Cable, put them together on a team.
Yeah,
really cool. Put Bishop on a team. That's interesting.
Wasn't Hope and Cable on an X-Men team like when Marvel Now was released? And it didn't last long.
No, I like that book. I remember. I was sad when it ended. I was having a good time with that.
Oh, there's one that says, what about Cable, Bishop, Deadpool, and Havoc?
That'd be interesting.
That would be an interesting book.
I'd read it.
That would be like the new version of Weapon X, I would think.
Oh, yeah. That would be kind of cool.
Any X book needs to be good. I don't care if it's a Weapon X and X Fat. Just give me one X book that I like. Because it's been honestly, Marauders was the closest, and it just kind of ran its course. You can't, and it also just seemed like there's a lot of restrictions they couldn't do with that book. Like anytime like a story went close to doing something, they just like went somewhere else, and I'm like, oh, this feels like an editorial thing.
I know who I'd like to see write X-Men, but it's not going to happen. Kyle Higgins.
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah, definitely not going to happen.
I would like that. Yeah, definitely not going to happen.
What's the benefit?
I know one that's not going to happen either. I would like to see Mark Miller write an X-Men book, because when he did,
definitely not going to happen.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, when you have like when he did the Old Man Logan story, that story, man, that was so freaking good when it came out, and it's just like, I would love to see if he could. It's not going to happen, obviously, but if he did write an X-Men story, that would be freaking cool.
Dante wants to see Ewing take on mutants. The only thing I've really liked from Ewing is his Immortal Hulk. I have not. Everything else he's done has just not been for me.
Everything it's been like, oh, really cool concept, but when it got there, it just lost me.
Avengers Inc. is a really good example where I was really looking forward to that book, and there's so many things I should have liked about it, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, just not with me. It didn't resonate with me.
Well, how about Immortal? Are you guys still reading Immortal Thor?
I dropped it just recently, literally last issue. I dropped it.
Am I still reading that?
Tells you something right there.
I think I am. I don't know. Brad. Yeah, I know.
After last issue having Jane and everybody, and I still didn't like it, I was like, I think I'm good.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, I think I dropped it after that too. Yeah. Now that you mentioned that. Fan.
Are you still reading, Mike? You were the one who was the least on the Immortal Thor train. Are you still reading it?
Dropped it after issue 2.
So
I knew I wasn't going to like that book after issue 1, and I told you guys, and just like now you guys are falling off it too, and it's just
sad.
Not for me, man. It's just so weird, and it's just so out there, and it's just it's just like when you went from one Thor story that Donny Cates was writing, and then obviously he had to leave, right? And it fell off, and you go from that to like this, it just, I don't know, it's just completely different. And it's just weird. I'm not a huge Thor fan to begin with either. So you got to do something really good to, get me into that character.
Yeah, no direction for me there. There's an interesting question here, and it reminded me of another title. But Mike Knight says, "Do you think that the more X titles there are at once, the more restrictive, or it is for each title?" I want to answer that, but I also want to do a little side note. My favorite X title of recent years was Exterminators. Like that Jubilee Dazzler book is so fun. And then that other book with Dazzler, the one we all liked too, the one Greg Land did. I forget what it was called. That was really fun too. And I think the only way you get titles like that is when you have 15,000 X titles, because they're allowed to kind of do their little kooky thing. You never get Exterminators if there's like only 2 out there. So yeah, do I think it's restrictive? No, because I don't even think they really follow their own mythos. So I think they get to do whatever they want.
Yeah, that one with Dazzler, that was a great book. I really enjoyed that one. I liked it better than the Executioner ones. I thought the other one was a little, it started off good and then it got a little bit too corny for me. But I do like the way, sometimes to do something different. I can applaud that, but the other one with Greg Land, I thought that was a great book because Havoc was in there, right? And then Dazzler was in there, and it was fun. And I was upset when it ended. I was like, man, it's over. I'm like, it was a good book.
Sarni says you can get an Exterminators Affinity comic. I always have a problem with those Affinity comics because they're so hard to read, and I've always talked about this, but if that book was available on a webtoon platform, or just like even if it's like a Comixology thing where you can like buy each issue, I'd be like, yeah, give me that and make it a digital exclusive. But because it's only for the Marvel app, it's only for people who are who I think I have the Marvel Unlimited thing, but I don't know. It's been so many years, I don't even know at this point. I don't like it. I think it's very restrictive.
Yeah,
but kudos for people who could figure it out.
I don't think it's restricted to have a bunch of X titles, but if you're gonna have a bunch of X titles, don't just be like, okay, this team is for this team is for that. Make it make sense, make it organic. They just come together for a common cause and go do their thing.
Right. There's no real purpose to it. Where before you felt like X-Men had a purpose, like every book that was out, there was a reason for it, Now it's like, oh, since this guy's not on a team, let's put him on a team, and do whatever, There's no real cause.
Right. Yeah.
So, all right. So you guys want to move on to talk about some comics then?
Yeah, which me and Mike were talking before Brant came on. I thought this was such a lackluster week for comics. There wasn't anything I really loved.
Glad it's not just me.
Yeah.
But okay, cool. This will be a fun discussion.
Yeah, no, it definitely will be.
Interesting top 5.
So we're going to talk about, since we've been talking about X-Men, we're going to end the X-Men talk with the discussion
with more X-Men.
With X-Men. Fall of House of X, issue 1. Getting to the, I guess, I don't know, the end of the X-Men Krakoan era, based off of what happened to Cyclops. He goes to this trial. He winds up saying that he's guilty. Orcus basically wins. Rasputin 4 has this secret mission with Professor Xavier, which we don't know what's going on. I mean, for me, the book was okay. I think it wasn't bad. I thought it was okay. I mean, I've read all the X-Men stuff so far, and I thought it was fine. The one part that I thought was off was like Nimrod just leaves and like decides to attack Krakoa, and he's like chasing a gigantic tree in the water. It was just awkward there, But the book itself was all right for me, but it wasn't anything that was like earth-shattering or mind-blowing.
It's a lot of the same thing, man. And I don't really like where the X-Men's at. So, when you're like trying to promote everything's going to change, this is the end of Krakoa, like give me something different and don't give me the same stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's just like, I don't know. This whole issue could have been boiled down into about a third of the time. But it was the same stuff. And it was, I thought this was just okay. Yeah.
I think it's I think it was maybe a setup, maybe to get people caught up with what's going on. I think that was what you're getting at here.
I mean, it's, obviously Rise of the Powers of X comes out this week, and that's, finishing that story, the little story. And that seems like the more exciting stuff is going to happen, hopefully.
Right.
So yeah, it definitely was the setup side of it. And, it was at least interesting that we're getting there finally, but it had a really slow start with the Cyclops stuff. And I actually had to, like, right before the show, I had to reread the first couple pages because I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
What was going on?
Mm-hmm.
And I trying to piece it together in my mind and all that stuff. And, there was the Colossus Wolverine stuff it was cute, but it wasn't like, oh, I've kind of seen that before.
You've seen it before. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So, we'll see what happens with the next part. All right. So next we have Kneel Before Zod. This is issue 1. Kat did not read this, but Brant and I read. And I didn't like this issue. I thought this
it was boring.
It wasn't even boring. It was just like,
it was just there.
I'm glad I didn't miss anything.
His kid was like real emo, and it's just like he's calling his dad a wimp, and he's soft, and he casts out his son, and he feels like he's not a right heir. And then all of a sudden you get these random generic aliens that attack, and you feel like, okay, that's probably his son got these aliens to attack his dad to prove that he's worthy, that he can beat him. And that's what I got out of it, but there was nothing really there that just was like, oh man, I was expecting something much different than this.
Yeah. I was hoping to be excited about this. And I think that's where my little lackluster feeling for it comes through, because you start off with, it was a lot of talking heads between Zod and his wife. I can't remember her name. And then, the whole stuff with the son being a brat and, challenging his dad and, like you said, kicking him out and all that stuff. And yeah, there wasn't a huge plot behind it. It was just this very insular thing that didn't feel like it had grand repercussions like I thought it should have. So
I just feel
maybe
like
I just expected something different.
I just felt like it didn't have any weight. And Cliff on Comics, Zod was dope. Like, we'll always say this: if you like a comic, that's perfectly fine, man.
We're glad you do.
Yeah, because again, everybody has different tastes and different styles of books that they like to read. I don't know what I was expecting out of this book, but I don't think I was expecting that, in my personal opinion.
Also, with the Coons, just keep in mind that we're more Marvel people. We don't have that deep knowledge of DC stuff. So I've heard of them, but I don't know much about them.
I didn't realize like who they were, what they represented, or anything like that. So to me, it just felt like an alien race just attacking, Zod.
Yeah.
And that was
I agree. Yeah.
We also have a question from Jeff. When was the last time a Marvel event actually changed the future? And I actually, it wasn't that long ago, but was a while ago. I would say the Venom event and War of the Realms, because you think about that Venom event, that obviously Dylan and everything that's happened with Venom in general is because of that event. And same for War of the Realms. Jane became Valkyrie in that event, and that is still something that is happening now. But those are the last two I can think of.
I know another one that was pretty good was the Black Vortex. That
was great. Yeah. But did it change things? I think that's what they're asking. Like, is there a book that did something to change the universe?
It changed a lot of the characters, though. The Black Vortex did for quite a while. I don't know if
it gave them this. Yeah, it gave them the secondary mutations on some of the characters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it created, was it Superior Iron Man out of that too?
Maybe. I know it gave it led us to Iceman's more powerful version where he can create like dupes and all that stuff.
Right. And then
too, I believe.
Like Angel changed, and like a lot of people changed out of that. But that was a good event. I'll be back. And I liked it. And then Kat, you're right. Like what's it called? The Venom event was really good. The Null stuff.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Because that feels like a bigger story. And yeah, War of the Realms, those are ones I could think of. I'm hoping Gang War. I'm hoping Gang War will do something for Spider-Man. It
Yeah.
feels like it can, which I'm optimistic about.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. I hope so, man. I don't know. This last issue it was all right. Like it was good, but it wasn't like
nothing really.
It wasn't anything that was like that first Strike issue,
Right.
So
I mean, the art doesn't help. For sure. That's definitely something.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's not the next thing we're talking about. Because I was like, that would have been a great transition. It's not.
No, the next book we're going to talk about, hopefully Brant comes on.
No.
Will be Pine and Merrimack. This is issue 1. So I did pick this one up, and I actually really enjoyed this book. I liked the characters. I liked their story. I liked their love for each other, and I liked how the book really introduced you to them right from the start, so you know who they are, and you know what their business is about, and you know what their story is about. So then when the actual case came around, then it's like, okay, here we go. Here's where the story's taking place. Now you understand why, she's taking this particular case of a missing girl or whatnot. And I thought the artwork was good on this book, but I had a lot of fun with it. The beginning of this book was hysterical, and hopefully they continue to balance out the humor and the seriousness of the story at the same time, because I think it goes hand in hand with each other. I think it works well with each other, but I really like the two characters.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot, but I wanted to love it. And I think that was the one thing that I was like, oh man, I wish this was like a Kill Your Darlings or, a book like that, where it's like, I automatically love this book. But I think there's definitely enough there where I was like, I want to see where issue 2 goes. I like these characters. And like you said, they set up the relationship well. There's an interesting mystery with her sister. So I was like, yeah, no, definitely gave me enough for issue 2. I liked it. So Brant, we were talking about the Pines and what was it called? Pine and Merrimack. Yeah.
Yep. I thought it was decent. Wasn't quite as strong as I'd hoped, but I did like the relationship. I liked the personal connection they had to this whole thing, like with her sister dying and all that stuff, and her having this whole thing where she didn't want to investigate missing people and stuff, but it all comes back. I thought it was structured really well. Their relationship, their banter between each other was cute. The art was nice. So yeah, it was a decent read.
Yeah. I think we're all on the same page on that one.
All right. So now we're going to talk about number 5. And I'll start with me. My number 5 was actually Superman 78, issue 3. I think we're on that book. I thought this book was great because it dives more into the story of Superman, recovering from a battle that he had with Metallo. And also we had a great narrative in this book with Lois's father on their relationship and the war that's at hand. I thought was really good. Then you had them interacting with each other about the story that's going on. Overall, it was just a fun book. I really enjoy it. And the problem I had with this book in the beginning was that there wasn't a lot of dialogue in the book, but this one, it kind of gets into more of the story, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, it was fun.
Cool. I don't think any of us read it.
Not.
Yeah, Robert Venditti writes this one.
Nice. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. All right. So Brant, what was yours? Number 5.
It was actually Pine and Merrimack. So it's a weird.
Oh, okay. And Kat?
Mine was Marvel Meow because it was fine. I didn't like a lot of my books this week.
Exactly. That's my thing. It's like, interesting top 5.
All right. So then let's move on to the big 2 probably that were released this week. We got The Amazing Spider-Man issue 41. The Gang War continues.
Which we alluded to. It's fine.
Here was a fight between the Kingpin and Tombstone and Janice and the Rose, right? And so you got the parents fighting because their kids are fighting, and the fight is okay. Like I understand what the issue was and why they're fighting, right? But it didn't progress the story at all. There wasn't all that much Spider-Man in there, and the artwork and the fight between Tombstone and Kingpin was just odd. It was like close-ups of their face, and they were like biting each other, and it was just weird. And I just feel like to me, that's just lazy artwork. I just don't feel that type of artwork is necessary. Like, why do we need a close-up of their faces? Like, show them actually fighting, it didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But having an issue full of action and fighting is all right, but like I said, you just got to get a good visual in there. And I feel like the story at this point is fine, right? But it is taking a little bit of a downward turn for me, because if you compare this issue compared to the first Strike issue, that felt like there was stakes and felt like there was emotion and, tensions were running high. I don't feel like you really feel that in this book. And that is my issue with it. But I didn't dislike it. I'm starting to see the flaws in the story right now.
Yeah, same page. I feel like it's this would have been a better issue for me if at least it was good art, because then it's like, oh, it's an action issue. It's a point A to point B. There's some interesting stuff with Tombstone. But yeah, it's not as strong even as the last issue. I thought the last issue was stronger than this one. So see where it goes.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows how I feel about the art, so I won't even comment on that. But yeah, the story is just okay. I thought there were some fun parts in it. The stuff with Typhoid Mary and She-Hulk and Spider-Man was at least funny. But yeah, it was an action issue.
That's what it was. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So I don't know where they'll go with it, whether the ramifications are going to be, and then hopefully something comes out of this game more. Like, we're talking about events that affect the Marvel universe. How will this affect Spider-Man's universe, right?
Yeah.
So if it does.
All right, let's talk about Batman issue 141. So we have the return of Batman doing battle against Failsafe, but now the Batman Zur-in-law, whatever the hell he is his mentality has gone into Failsafe. And this became a cat and mouse game like we saw in the introductory arc of Batman. What I liked about this issue is I liked Batman, how he is trying to, outsmart himself to beat the robot. And I thought that was quite interesting, giving himself upgrades to try to beat him. He winds up getting thrown in jail. The Joker's in jail. And now we get this leading into the Joker year one story. Jorge Jimenez artwork I thought was really good. And I liked this issue. I thought it was fun, full of action. I think this is better than what we've been getting from Batman in quite a while. So I'll take this issue for sure.
I like the art. I wanted more Joker, but I really don't like this Failsafe story. It is so boring to me. I want it to be over, and I just can't get into this story. But I hope Joker turns things around.
Yeah, I don't love the Failsafe stuff, but it still felt like, okay, this is how this whole run started, and it felt more like that. So like you said, Mike, it was kind of refreshing to go back to this kind of stuff, aside from the other stuff that we've been getting in this run. So for that reason, I enjoyed it, and I did like him, kind of outsmarting Failsafe a little bit. The Zur-in-R parts were the least interesting to me, and I was like, oh, just leave that stuff out of there. But yeah, and the art looked nice, and I like the way that they ended it with Joker, in the prison and them having to deal with each other there. So
right, and that's how he's going to be in jail, and he's going to be telling him his whole story. So that's basically what's going to happen here. And Failsafe will come to an end for now, at least.
I'm happy for that. Paul says, do you guys prefer a one and done story or ongoing series, which at times loses steam? I like a good miniseries. One shot sometimes is not enough. An ongoing's too much. Give me a 4-issue miniseries.
I'm not a huge fan of one and dones. Never have been. I like if you're going to tell a long form story, though, have like this
arcs,
overarching plot, and then have a bunch of little subplots going on to keep the story moving. As opposed to one just long story.
Right. Because like
Scott Snyder started the long story, I feel, where it's just like one really long story.
So for instance, like Immortal Hulk, that story, if you didn't catch on from the beginning, you're lost.
Right.
You know?
But there was little sectors of it where it's like, at least as the reader, you took a breath where you're like, okay, this one's about Betty. This is about, this is about Hulk.
Yeah, but the the main story, since Al Ewing is like way out there with his storytelling, you wouldn't get what's going. Shit, I didn't even get what's going on in some of the issues either because the stuff was way out there at times,
Yeah.
But go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, personally, I don't like the long ongoing story because if you don't like it, then you don't read that comic for as long as that writer is on that story for. And like you said, Brant, like if you have, subplots or little arcs that break up that main story, then that's okay. But I was always the fan of, comics when they have like 4-issue arcs or 2-issue stories. For me, that's good. And then if you have something that's a little bit larger than 6 issues, and then you go on to the next story. I feel like, sometimes when you have this long story, it gets drawn out and it does lose steam in some ways. You get bored of that one story.
Yeah, it puts me in mind. This has been years ago, but Brian Azzarello's Wonder Woman, which was like this 40-issue long story that if you picked it up in the middle, you were completely lost.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So, we talked about Spider-Man. We talked about Batman. So let's move on to our number 4. What was my number 4 this week? I don't even remember. Number 4 for me, this was Spider-Man 2099, the Miguel O'Hara book.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was better than any Miguel O'Hara book that I have read.
But still not great.
They've been doing them, right? It was a surprise for me. I didn't expect it to be good. The thing about this is that it's 4 issues, but they're almost like one-shots. Okay.
Yeah. That's what bothered me about it, though. Yeah, but go ahead.
But at least you don't have to be attached to a story for a very long time. So, this one had to do with a zombie virus. We got introduced to Miguel's mom for the first time, which I thought was kind of interesting. And she got affected by the zombie virus. He's trying to find a cure for her. And I like that. I thought it was kind of cool. And it was a little bit darker. The artwork was better than in the previous volume that we had. So, yeah, it's cool. And I feel like if you don't want to buy all of these, you don't have to, because one's going to deal with Moon Knight, one's going to do with Werewolf, one's going to do with something else. So then you don't feel like you're obligated to get them, So I liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I get that, but like I said, I don't like one and dones.
Yeah,
I was a little disappointed. Yeah, I was a little disappointed that this was just it's over. I was looking forward to this, and then it's like, okay, now it's something completely different. So I'm kind of disinterested now. So
I'll let you know though if it somehow still connects though.
Yeah.
Because it is still labeled at 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it is. So I don't know. It probably is. There's probably some kind of connective tissue there.
Nope. So what was yours, Kat?
Spider-Man. I already talked about it.
All right. Man, Brant?
Same. Spider-Man. It's a weird week, man.
It's a depressing comic book show, man.
It is. Sorry, I was having a good time talking about the what if of X-Men, but
All right, so let's talk about. I am shocked you guys are still reading this. Shazam issue 7.
There's something about the book that I want to really like because it's a book that I don't hate reading. Like when I'm reading it, it's like it's fine, but I don't love it, and I think that's why I keep sticking around with it. Same thing for this issue. I don't even remember what happened honestly in this issue. It's very forgettable.
Black Adam. It's
Black Adam. Right? It's the fight.
Yeah, the dinosaurs. Like I don't love that part of it. I
like the family stuff. The family stuff was interesting.
The family stuff was interesting, and that's kind of why I like this issue. For one, we're past that first arc finally. But yeah, it was the dinosaurs showed up and Black Adam destroyed their ship, and now he's like hunting them, and it leads to this fight between Shazam and Black Adam is what happens, and then his house gets destroyed, and it's like, oh no. So that element, the family aspect of it, I really liked, and the repercussions of his house. But at the same time, I was like, dude, how do you not realize you're like destroying your house right now?
Right. No, this issue was better than the previous ones. Now that I remember what happened. Is it the best Shazam book? No, but yeah, I'll stick around with it. We'll see.
There's something, like you said, there's something about it I just like. I don't know.
All right, so then we move on to The Vengeance of Moon Knight. So Brant and I read this comic book. Now, keep in mind, I did not read this book for a long time, okay? And so it relaunched with a new #1, same creative team. Artwork is outstanding on this book. I really enjoyed it. There's a scene in here with like Tigra doing like a toe-to-toe with Reese in the book. Yeah, it was so good. And her pain that she was dealing with the loss of Mark was awesome. Like very emotional there. Overall, I like this book. I thought that it wasn't the best new reader friendly book in my opinion, but I read enough of the last volume to understand what was going on. And I got the gist of, what happened and how everyone is kind of, mourning his loss, and Reese is in a therapy session, discussing what has happened and saying that I'm here to tell you that Moon Knight is not dead, and so it's basically he's the one that's being alive, and 8-Ball is the one that winds up getting like trashed at the end of the issue. And just really good stuff overall, in my opinion. Reese is the one that's in charge of the Midnight Mission at the moment because that's what Mark wanted. Not that she's Moon Knight. I know people at first thought that she was going to be the next Moon Knight, and she's not, at least not yet anyway. But I thought it was a good book. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. It didn't quite make my top 5, but and I had read the entire run, so it felt like a little bit more of the same until like the very end. So it's like, we'd seen Mark in those therapy sessions as well, same doctor and everything. So it just felt like this continuation. Okay, it was a little bit of a red herring, I think, setting her up as a potential Moon Knight, and then kind of shifting it to, there's this evil Moon Knight that's trying to kick them out. Right. So yeah, it was fine. I wanted a little bit more from it, I think. But I did still enjoy it. I loved this book overall, and I'm still going to stick with it, obviously. So
you think this is more of a, you thought this was more of a, felt like more of a continuation than a new #1 in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the focus is a little bit different because it's more on the supporting cast than Moon Knight himself.
Right.
But it definitely was. It could have just been the next arc in that series for sure.
Gotcha.
All right, cool. Have a question from Parker Luck. If you can't find your current comic title in your local comic book shop that you're reading, do you pick up a comic trade or anything at all? I usually read it digitally if it's not in my store. And honestly, my store usually gets like they'll order that book. So let's say if an issue is not there, they'll order it through Diamond or whoever is distributing it, and then like a couple weeks later, I'll get it.
Yeah.
Or are you asking if we can't find the comics we're wanting to pick up, do we pick up something else instead? I don't know.
I
how
definitely
you
don't do that. If that's the fact, no. I forget, I'm like, oh, I can't find that one. I usually won't replace it.
So me, if I have a shitty week like this week, like I'll try to buy, I'll buy different books. Like
Right.
I'll go searching for back issues, right? I think
Mm.
that's what I'll do. So for instance, like it was a really small week, right? So luckily for me, like I wound up getting this king size amazing Spider-Man, like issue 3. Like, this is old school stuff. And then I got like Amazing Spider-Man issue 115. And they don't normally have all this stuff in here. Like it was just like it just happened to be there. And then I got another king size special. This is issue 5, and that's the first appearance of Richard and Mary Parker. So I was like, those were like some key comics there and old books that I don't have. So that's what I like about when they don't have a huge week. I'm like, oh, I'm going to see what I can find in, old stuff, because I like to collect that stuff too.
I might give like an indie book a try that I normally wouldn't have, or like maybe like I was talking to Mike earlier. Like I was like, I don't know if I want to get the next X-Men book, like the one that's following this event. And I'm like, oh, I don't have that big of a week. Maybe I'll try it out.
Yeah, it's that way for me. It's like I'll look and see what else there is, and if there's nothing that like jumps out at me, then I probably won't. Or I always like peruse the trades, but I don't buy a whole lot. So
yeah. I mean, it's like I go through the entire pull list so well in advance that just because I'm at the comic shop, it's not going to make me really say, oh, let me try this. I mean, sometimes, see, again, as much as I like to read, I also like to collect. So it's just like I'll buy a variant cover, or I'll buy, like I said, those back issues just to fill in a run or something like that. So that's just how I am. I mean, I read plenty, right? So like we were talking earlier, I think I'm reading like 20 books this week. So it's a huge week for me.
It's weird for me too, because I haven't been doing the shop thing like consistently for a long time now. So when I do go, I do look at a lot of stuff.
Gotcha.
Because I was doing DCBS for a long time, and I just recently stopped that. So.
All right, cool. So let's move on to. Are we on number 3 now? Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think so.
Yeah. All right. So, Kat, what was your number 3?
Ghost Lore, issue 7. I'm the only one who reads it.
Yep.
All right. I like the series. Again, is it a series that blows my mind? No, but there's something fun about it of these people who are seeing the trauma of these ghosts. Yeah, that's mostly it. You get to see more of the saga continue. You get to see more of the mythos building. It was a fine issue.
I stuck with it for like 3 issues, I think, and I just it was one of the ones that just couldn't make the cut. I read too much. So
understandably too. I don't know why. I think it's the art, because I really, really love Basket Full of Heads, and it's the same artist that did Basket Full of Heads. So I feel like I have some loyalty towards there. And also it's almost ending. So I was like, oh, why not? But is it a series where I'm like, oh my God, you're not reading Ghost Lore? No. Would it be in my top 5 if it wasn't for this week? Probably not.
Yeah. Right.
Oh boy. You're not reading Ghost Lore? What's wrong with you, man?
Have you said that about, Transformers or Runaways? Definitely.
Runaways for Kat. Yeah. You're not reading Runaways? And then I'll read Runaways. I'm like,
you always picked up the bad issues. I felt so bad.
Yeah, you did.
You did that with Venom too. Remember that?
Venom for a long time. I would never pick up the good issues.
Okay. So what's yours, Brant? What's your number 3?
Mine was Shazam. So we just talked about that.
All right.
It's that type of week.
Mine was Pine and Merrimack. Yeah. So I liked it. I actually really liked it. It was a book that I wasn't even going to pick up, and then like again, what I said earlier was I liked the characters, and I like how the writer introduced those characters right from the start and got you, the reader, into those people. And there's other private or like CSI books or mystery books, right? Where it's just like, let's dive right into the mystery, and nothing about those characters, and it makes it boring. So that's why, I like this one.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
All right, so let's talk about a book that I totally dropped. That's Birds of Prey, issue 5. What do you guys think?
They're not missing much. Oh, no, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. There's not even like a good
escaping Themyscira?
They finally escaped this issue.
Yeah, at the very end, but they were stuck there inside of some kind of being. I don't know.
I actually think this is the worst issue of the run thus far. I was so
it was not good.
Yeah, I'm giving it like one more issue after this arc, and I think I'm done.
Drop it.
I'll put it like this: the villain was cheesy, and Harley Quinn was serious. That tells you everything you didn't need to know about this issue.
Kat, you dropped so many books after one issue. You're like, I'm done.
I want to love this book, though. I'm the same way.
You've given us 5 issues, and you said this is the worst one yet. What makes you think it's going to be better?
Because I wanted to see a new arc. I feel like maybe it's this arc. So I was just like, if it starts a new arc and I still dislike it, that's the moment I drop it.
That's true. I'm going to be the same way with this book. I love the characters. I love the writer. I want this book to be good. So I feel the same way. I understand you dropping it, Mike.
Oh, yeah, no.
Any other factors, I probably would too. But
you guys are doing a She-Hulk. That's what you guys are doing, Mike.
For
that.
It's Birds of Prey, it is. It's like it's a team you don't get to see very often. And then Kelly Thompson is a writer I usually really like. So that's why I'm like, I want to give it a fair shot.
Same.
Oh, jeez. Well, we'll see. All right, let's go on to number 2. What's your number 2, Brant?
Mine is a book that you all don't read, which is Knights number 4. This is from Image. It's that vampire book. I really enjoyed this book, and I don't know what it is about it that gets me. It's the characters that I'm just invested in, and this very slow dark turn of this main character, the vampire. And in this issue, you see her she's worried about the kid dying, and she's like, I don't want you to die. And he's like, oh, I won't die then. And it just, they're planting the seeds where I think she's going to try to turn him later. And there's some other stuff going on. And like the dead kid is like sad because it's his death day celebration. Nobody remembers. And now he's like ready to move on. And there's other stuff going on, weird, supernatural, funky stuff. It's a good book. It's up my alley, and I enjoy it.
That's good. Glad you like it. We had a question from Parker Luck. He says, have you been reading Jim Zub's Conan book? No. Unfortunately not. I mean, I've never been a Conan guy, so I don't.
Me either. Yeah.
All right. And I guess I got to give my number 2, right? I think that's what it is. Yeah, mine was Moon Knight. So, yeah, we definitely talked about that. And then are we talking more about the Marvel Meow stuff?
No,
no, but I don't think I did my number 2, which was Shazam. We already talked about it.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no more Marvel Meow. Not literally. There's no words in the book. So.
All right. So number 1, it's time. What do you got,
excited.
What, me?
Yeah, you.
Batman.
Mine too.
Mine was Pine and Merrimack. I enjoyed it. Again, I wanted to love it, but it was the one I enjoyed the most this week.
It wasn't all our top 5s. It was just all over the place.
The problem is there was no books, so you couldn't help it. I couldn't put Spider-Man in my top 5. I mean, I liked it, but it just, to me, I felt there was just better quality books overall across the board. It's just, I can't get out of my head with that image with Kingpin and Tombstone. It's just,
I know,
it was just so awkward. It's like the best thing you could do is have them go like cheek to cheek with each other, and then you had what, Kingpin kick them in the balls? Like, really? Like, this is Tombstone out of all people when you're having them kick them. It just didn't make sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
It's weird. All right.
Hopefully next week will be better. Or tomorrow.
There's a lot of books, and we'll definitely, Kat might not be here next week, guys. So
be.
just letting you know. So, but we will definitely have a show because we need to talk about, as a whole, we need to talk about Ultimate Spider-Man. So that's going to be a big one. Probably one of the biggest comics released this year, I would think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we'll pass it on to you, Brant. Now you have we have our most anticipated, and I think this is the first time ever that this particular thing has happened.
What, we all have the same number one? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, not even that.
Look at your two lists.
Look at mine and yours.
Oh, they're identical. Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened with you and me.
No.
That's funny. All right, so we'll talk about a couple of cats then before we get to ours.
Sure.
So, Green Lantern number 7, which we all enjoy.
Yeah, I just really like this series. It's just a series that when I go to the comic book store, I'm anticipating it. I want to read it, and I'm always really excited to read the book. It's very consistent. I feel like, oh my God, things happen every issue. Like it's a wild ride. It feels like old school comics.
Yeah, that was very near to making mine, but it was just a couple. We'll talk about them, but and then you have Spider-Gwen Smash number 2.
I don't think we were here the week that the first issue came out, but I was pleasantly surprised. Or maybe we were, but Mike wasn't on. I remember.
Yeah, I think Mike wasn't on.
Yeah, Mike wasn't
on. That's the night
Mike
fell asleep.
Yes, that was the night that Mike was asleep.
That was the book where she was in concert, right?
Yeah. I really like that issue because I like the idea that we got to see this other version of Dazzler. I like that we got to see her music, her fighting. I just felt very different to me, and I'm very excited to see where the second story comes.
Was that Bruce at the end of that book that has this stalking thing over her?
I don't think we know. Yeah, I think I don't remember.
I don't think you're supposed to know, but it kind of looked like him.
Mm-hmm.
He was lab coat, glasses.
That's what I loved about the original Spider-Gwen, and I'm glad they're doing here. I remember there was always like, oh my God, that's Sue, that's the Human Torch. It's such a different version of them. So I'm really happy that if it is Bruce, it's like, oh, cool. Like I want to see that version of him in this universe. But then obviously the next series is not going to be in our 65. But
well, that's what I was about to say. I was like, I don't know if we talked about it. What do you guys think about her moving to main Earth?
I don't love it, but at least I have this series to enjoy.
Is she going to suffer the Miles Morales syndrome?
Hell yeah, because what else is she going to do? She has no supporting cast. Like her character's made up of her. Like it's like a Miss Marvel situation. Like her series is good because she gets to interact with MJ. She gets to interact with her dad. She has no supporting cast.
Yeah,
I agree. Exactly. Yeah, I agree too. So but this series, good so far. So
and it has all the supporting cast members.
Right. All right. So let's get to our list, Mike. Before we get to that number 1, so we got Wolverine number 41.
I need to find out why, because I've never seen Wolverine on your top.
I know it's because it's the start of the Sabretooth War, and whatever reason, it just got me intrigued, and I want to read at least the first part of it. So
that's why classic, the classic rivals, and you want to see what it's about. I've been actually buying Wolverine for the past 4 or 5 issues, just but there's nothing really that really led into this war. So I was thinking there was going to be, but there was nothing. Right. So I was like, oh, okay. So I've been just buying them, but I've been anticipating this book for a while. So I want to read a good Wolverine story, and my trust in Benjamin Percy is greater now that he's written a few things that I've liked. So I want to see where he goes with this particular story.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I read Wolverine, and so if something was going to bring me back, it'd be this. So that's why I made my list. But and then Transformers, which I know is probably looming around cats as well.
Oh yeah. I honestly
always.
Always it's there. It's just I wanted to pick something different because I know you guys are going to pick Transformers. So I was like, why not put something else? But yeah, I'm very excited to read Transformers.
Yeah, I'm always excited for Transformers. It's just, Daniel Warren Johnson is not going to have a park with this book. So,
how did we end up on issue 3?
I think
Was it Carly's dad? Did she find out
No.
that her dad was dead?
No, I think that was issue 2.
That
I
was
think it had to do with
2.
the other, his dad. He's doing
Spike's
something.
dad.
Yeah,
Oh, Spike got shot.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Spike got shot.
And I mean,
And then
how
they
can
were
you,
they were attacking all the robots. Yeah.
we're 3 issues in and this much is happening, which is so
Oh,
fun
yeah.
Right?
and crazy. I love that.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah. And then obviously our number 1, Ultimate Spider-Man.
I mean,
'Cause
yeah.
I mean, how can it not be? Especially with this crew.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
God,
curious
yeah.
if it'll be our number ones, like top 5 wise, but I'm
right.
definitely anticipating it. Again, I have a very big worry about Hickman. I've never liked a Hickman book, but I hope it changes here. I hope this is
Did
the
you
book
all
that...
see the preview of it?
No, I tried staying away from it.
No.
Yeah. I saw one image and then I went away from it. But yeah, it does. I don't know if y'all want to know which version.
I mean, I don't care.
Peter, it is Peter, and it's like grown up, married with kids. Peter. So
that
yeah, which
I
think
know.
we
Yeah,
knew.
I think
Yeah,
we knew.
yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that before. So
yeah.
Oh, you didn't?
That's the only thing I saw. No, I didn't.
Really?
I
Yeah,
didn't
he's
know
like
which
in his
wow.
30s or something like that. Or
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I must have missed that somehow, but yeah. So
We're not on that week, maybe.
right, the art looked okay, so we'll see. We'll see how it is. All right, that's it then. That's all of them.
All right, and then that's the show. We're gonna wrap it up. So, once again, guys, thank you so much for actually for joining the show.
Oh.
And then we got a super chat before we wrap it up from
Nice way to
Highland
close it. Yeah.
Low Roller. He says, I only buy comic books for the cover art, and I haven't read a book since COVID. It's like collecting Rembrandt and the Mona Lisa. I mean, if you collect comic books that way, that is absolutely okay. There is so many books that I buy just for covers. That's why variant covers exist, because people like the comic book art on the cover. It's like oversized trading cards.
Yeah.
It's the only reason I'm still buying Poison Ivy every month.
Yeah. So thank you so much for that super chat. And then, yes, we got Facebook user who says, hey, Mike, have you ever thought about making your own comic? I have thought about that many, many times. It's a very challenging thing with my hectic schedule. I can just tell you that. I'm a YouTube content creator, and if you have any idea how much time that takes, it's crazy. Combine that with reading comic books, combine that doing live shows, combine that making videos, editing the videos, taking care of your family, doing your job. It's a lot. And maybe one day I'll get there to where I can make my own comic. We shall see in the future. So, all right. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure you subscribe to Comic Book Weekly YouTube channel, as you can see all the shows, and make sure you subscribe to my channel as well, Comic Book Corner 2.0. Subscribe to Comic Uno, subscribe to Only Good Comics, and guys, make sure you hit the like button and hit the bell for notifications. And as always, thank you so much. Hopefully Kat will be here, and I'm saying we for sure, me and Brant will be here, and we'll talk to you guys all next